The Premier League is finally back, and it feels like it's been such a long time since there was a game. It feels like it's been over a year, but it's just been about 3 or 4 weeks. But we are back, and there's so much on the line. Relegation problems, title race, depending on what happens, and then, of course, the Champions League positions are on the line. But for this game week, there is no better place than to start with the biggest game of the weekend. Chelsea versus Manchester City. Now, on a normal day, we know that this is going to be one of the biggest games that's going to be happening and any game week that's given. So what is on the line? There is a lot on the line. There is a lot on the line in terms of winning the Premier League and also qualifying for the Champions League. As we know right now, Manchester City are 9 points behind Arsenal, but they have a game in hand and they still have to play Arsenal as well. So it's not fully over, but right now it does not look very good for Man City. And if they do want to stand any chance at all of still making it to finally maybe just get back in the title race and win it, possibly, they must win this game. Now, Chelsea, on the other hand, they've been in awful form, but in the last game, they were able to beat Port Vale 7-0. Now, you can get excited about that, but Port Vale are literally last in the third division, so you do not expect anything else but a Chelsea, simple win, easy win, routine win. But now, I think about it this way. The 4 losses before now, will they matter right now? We don't know. But City are feeling good. They've just won the Carabao Cup. They've just absolutely destroyed my team Liverpool 4-0 in the FA Cup. They are feeling confident. City must be feeling very confident. And they're back in form despite their 2 draws in the Premier League against West Ham and Nottingham Forest and their 2 losses to Real Madrid in the Champions League. But, I think the way I'll say it is that if this game was happening in January or December, I would easily go for a Chelsea win because I think Chelsea were doing decently well before they sacked Maresca. And even when Liam Rosinho came in, they were doing quite well. But recently, Chelsea have not been great and Man City are feeling very confident. So for this one, if there's any team that's going to win, I think it's going to be Man City. So I'm going to go for a Manchester City win. I think it's going to be very tight, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester City. Now, moving on to the next game. This is also a very important game for the title race. Arsenal, like I said, 9 points clear above Man City with a game played more, but they're facing a Bournemouth side who are not doing too badly, but are not doing great as well. So after crashing out of 2 competitions, the FA Cup, they're out losing to Southampton, and the Carabao Cup losing in the final to Man City. They responded really well by beating Sporting at Sporting Stadium. Mind you, Sporting had won 17 straight games at home before that game. So for Arsenal to be able to beat them, that is a very, very important win. There's motivation for them to finally go and finish the league title race, especially after getting that win. I think that was very important for them. If they drew that game or lost that game, I'll be worried about the form they're coming into this particular game with. But I think the win for them will be good motivation for them. They're 9 points clear with 7 games to go. It could be 6 points if Manchester City win their game in hand against Crystal Palace. So it's a must-win game for Arsenal, in my opinion. They need to get this win. They need to keep getting wins so that they can get this job done and probably even focus on winning the Champions League, which is crazy to say in my opinion, but it's very possible, guys. It is very, very possible. But Bournemouth have not lost in their last 10 games. They've also not won in their last 5. They've drawn their last 5 games in all competitions. So this is a team that, they're not losing, but they're not winning per se. So I think it's actually going to be a tough game. But going to the Emirates and the fact that Bournemouth even beat Arsenal last year at the Emirates as well, they must be feeling very confident. But I think Arsenal know what they want. They know what they have to do. So I'm expecting Arsenal to win this game, especially because they're at home and they need to win every single game, especially the ones at home. So I'm going with a 2-0 win for Arsenal in this game. I think Bournemouth have not really shown me how good they are in terms of winning games recently. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Arsenal. I think it could be tighter than that, but because of what is on the line, especially for Arsenal, I'm going for a 2-0 win for them. Now, Liverpool hosting Fulham, and this game, as a Liverpool fan, there's not a lot to be happy about. There's not a lot to be hopeful for, but I choose to be hopeful for this game, despite all the facts I'm about to read out that show that Liverpool are in terrible form. First and foremost, I have to say that Liverpool have lost their last 3 games. They lost 2-1 to Brighton in the Premier League. They lost 4-0 to Manchester City in the FA Cup. And then 2-0 to PSG, which could have been 4, 5 or 6 if I'm being completely honest. But we'll take the 2-0 loss, Let's manage that. And interestingly, this is the third time this season that Liverpool have lost 3 games in a row. Shows how bad this season has been. Can you see? And to make matters even worse, Arne Slot in 3 games against Fulham has never beaten them. We've lost 1 of them and we've drawn 2 of those games. So it's not looking very good. But interestingly, Fulham are not doing too badly. They're 9th, but they're just 2 points behind Brentford, who are 7th. And 7th should get you a place in Europe next season, based on how well the English teams are doing in general. I think Fulham will be ready to pounce on Liverpool based on the form. And honestly speaking, I'm very worried. I'm very, very worried for this game. But like I said, I choose to believe, I choose to have hope in Liverpool this particular game. This hope might backfire, as it's done a lot of times this season. Here I am as a Liverpool fan choosing to hope again. So my mind tells me that this is going to be a draw, but I want a 2-1 win for Liverpool. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Liverpool. Worst case scenario is going to be a 1-1 draw. Hopefully we do not lose, but like I said, I'm choosing to believe, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Liverpool at Anfield. Next up, we have Manchester United against Leeds. Now, United are doing great under Michael Carrick. I feel like it's been quite a long time since I spoke about Manchester United playing a game, but they are back in action. They're doing really well under Michael Carrick. They're 3rd in the league, and they look very, very comfortable for UCL spots next season. So they've won 7 of their last 10 games, drawn 2 and lost just 1 of those 10 games with Michael Carrick in charge. Now they host Leeds, who have just 1 win in their last 9 games, and that 1 win came against Norwich in the FA Cup. And unfortunately, Leeds have also crashed out of the FA Cup, so it's not looking very great for them in terms of how important that win was for them. And they've also not won in any of their last 6 games in the league. To make matters even worse, they have not scored in any of their last 4 games in the league as well. So everything points towards a Manchester United win, especially with the way that they're playing and the confidence that they must have. I mean, this is a Manchester United side who have also won 5 of their last games at home. So I will easily predict a Manchester United win for this one. I think they're going to win 2-0. Although Leeds needs to be very careful about possibly going down. I think they're just about 3 points above the relegation zone. But based on form and everything that I'm seeing with Manchester United, especially their home form as well, I'm predicting a 2-0 win for Manchester United. Next up, we have a very, very important clash. Sunderland are hosting Tottenham. Now, Tottenham, this is one of the most important games this weekend in general. So, Sunderland are great at home. In fact, throughout this season, they've only lost 3 games at home this season. So, this is a team that is quite formidable at home, and you expect them to probably have a good game. But they're just 3 points behind Brentford and Everton, like I said, who are holding positions to possibly go to Europe. So, I mean, they're playing against each other as well. So, you know, Sunderland must be feeling confident that if they get a win in this one, especially with the way Tottenham have played this season without a single win in the Premier League this year, they must be feeling confident, especially with their home record. Now, Tottenham have decided to bring in Roberto De Zerbi after letting go of Igor Tudor. This is their 3rd manager this season, and he's hoping that they are able to get out of this relegation scrap. Now, they're still above the relegation zone by just 1 point, but they need to start getting wins, because any win, any draw for West Ham, and they're in bigger trouble. So, I mean, Roberto De Zerbi must start with a bang. There's no other option but to start with a bang. So I want to see Spurs stay up. I'm not going to lie to you. I just feel like, you know, they're the current Europa League champions. The fact that they're probably going to get relegated is insane to me. And I do think that it will be good to see this traditional top 6. I think Spurs are still too good to go down. But based on everything that's happened this season with injuries and the problems they've had, it's just where they find themselves. But I do think Tottenham should be surviving. But based on form, they've not shown me any reason why they should. So maybe this new manager bounce may finally happen, although it didn't work with Igor Tudor. So I am predicting that this will be a very tough game. I'm going with a 2-2 draw. But I would like to see Tottenham win this game. But I'm going with a 2-2 draw. Next up, we have another big game. Nottingham Forest, who are fighting against relegation, although they are now 3 points above the relegation zone, against Aston Villa, who are also doing well to try and qualify for the Champions League. Now, this is a massive game for both sides. Forest, like I said, are 3 points above the relegation after beating Tottenham 3-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was a very important win for them, because if Spurs won that game, Forest would be in big trouble. But they ended up losing to Nottingham Forest. So Forest must be feeling good, and they just drew in the Europa League, so they must be feeling good as well. Now, Villa won in the league before the international break. They won a very important game for them to help them also in terms of their top 5 race. Now they're 5 points above Liverpool, so it's looking very good for them, and 6 points above Chelsea. So if Chelsea do not win this particular game and Aston Villa win, it's very likely that they will be qualifying for the Champions League. So this is a game that they must win. Now I think this game has so much on the line, and because of how much is on the line, I am worried that it might just be a game where neither team wants to lose, because if Nottingham Forest lose and one of the other teams in the relegation region wins the game, then they might be back in trouble. And if Aston Villa lose, the gap when it comes to the top 5 may reduce, and Chelsea, if they win, or Liverpool, if they win, will get closer. They will still be fourth regardless of whatever result happens, so they're still safe. But I just think this is one of those ones where nobody wants to lose, so I'm predicting a 1-1 draw for this game. But if there's any team that's going to win it, I'm going to predict that Aston Villa will win this game. I just don't know if Nottingham Forest will beat Aston Villa in this one. Next up, we have Brentford against Everton. Now, these two teams have been equal in terms of the number of wins, the number of draws, the number of losses. They are level on points in 7th and 8th, and they're only separated by goal difference, which is just 2. They're both poised for a place in Europe next season based on their positions. They're 7th and 8th, which should be able to get 7th should be able to get you a position in Europe for sure. Maybe 8th will as well, but we'll have to watch and see. Now, Brentford have drawn their last 4 games, but won 4-3 in the game just before they drew their last 4. So, I mean, it's not looking very good in terms of winning games, but they've not lost in their last 5, winning 1 and drawing 4. Everton, on the other hand, have won 3 of their last 5 games, and those 2 losses that they did have were against 2 decent teams in Arsenal, who are top of the league, and Manchester United, who are currently 3rd. So these are results that you have to say that they're not too bad. And Arsenal, it came really late. Yes, it was 2-0, but the loss basically came really late. And for Manchester United, it was just 1 goal as well. So Everton must be feeling really confident and in the way they're playing, especially after beating Chelsea 3-0 as well. So this is a team that must be feeling really confident. So my prediction is, because of the form that they're in and the side that looks a bit more dangerous, I'm going to go with an Everton win. I think that's a big choice, but I think Everton will probably go and win this one. Maybe it could be a draw, but I'm predicting Everton to win this one. Now, to be very honest, this can go either way. I can see Brentford winning this game, but I'm just going to pick Everton to win this one. Next up, we have Crystal Palace against Newcastle. There are only 3 points between both teams. Now, Crystal Palace are 14th, Newcastle are 12th. Now, despite the fact that Newcastle are 12th, they are not too far away from qualifying for Europe. Now, they don't have any distractions again. They're out of every single competition. They only have the Premier League to focus on. Now, Palace, they just played in the Conference League and they won their game 3-0. So that's a competition they will probably really have their eyes on to try and win. And I think if they win that, they go to the Europa League next season. So that might be their own routes to Europe this coming season. So I think they might be focused on the Conference League, but it doesn't mean they will not play well. Now, Newcastle are just 4 points behind Brentford, despite the fact that they're 12th. So as much as they're in the bottom half of the table, they can still qualify for Europe. So I think with no distractions anymore, Newcastle will really fancy their chances. Now, if they lock in, like I said, Europe is possible for them next season. So based on the fact that Palace know that they have a good chance of winning the Conference League, I think their focus is still on the Conference League. It doesn't mean that they're not going to try and play good football. They're still 14th in the league, and it's not looking great in terms of qualifying from Europe based on their position, but I still do think that their focus will be on the Conference League and trying to win that, especially after winning 3-0 against Fiorentina in the first leg. They must be feeling really confident and heading towards the semi-finals of that competition. So winning that competition is probably priority for them. So I think based on that, Newcastle know that they don't really have any other option but to win this game. So I'm going to predict that Newcastle will beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Now, the final 2 games. West Ham will host Wolves on Friday. Now, West Ham are pushing to stay up. They're just 18th and just 1 point behind Tottenham, and could still definitely stay up based on the fact that there's still 7 games to go. Now, they're 1 point behind Spurs, like I said, and they've had recent draws against Manchester City and also Brentford, who are 7th and 2nd respectively. So these are respectable results. Now, Wolves have gotten some sort of encouragement. I don't know where this all came from, but they have been playing really well recently. They've beaten Aston Villa, they've beaten Liverpool, and they drew with Brentford as well, who all are in the top 7. So this is a team that's last, and they've been able to get 2 wins and 1 draw against 3 teams in the top 7. So this is a team that, for some reason, it's like they're deciding to wake up. So, I mean, it's still going to be difficult for them to survive. They're like 13 points away from safety with 7 games to go. So I do not think they'll still be able to survive, but this is a team that's playing really well. However, because of what is on the line, especially because I think Wolves cannot stay up and West Ham will be fancying their chances to stay up, I will go for a West Ham win. Just because of what's on the line. But I also think there's a world in which Wolves will still want to continue playing really well before they go down. So this could end up being a draw, but I'm predicting a West Ham win 2-1 or a draw. And then finally, Burnley hosting Brighton. Now, Brighton are in good form and they also fancy being in Europe. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, and the one loss that they had was a very narrow loss to Arsenal. They must be feeling really confident. They've also just beaten Liverpool 2-1 as well. So this is a team that's in good form, 4 wins from 5. Now, Burnley are struggling. They've gotten 2 draws and 4 losses in their last 6 games, and because of form and how close Brighton are to Europe, I think this is a game that they'll really fancy themselves. So my prediction for this one is Brighton to win 3-1. Now, those are all my predictions for this week. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think? Did I get any of them right? Do you agree with any of my predictions? Let me know what you think in the comments. But before you go, make sure you like the video if you've gotten this far and you actually like the video. Share with a friend who you think might enjoy this kind of content. And before you leave, make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, and I'll really appreciate if you could be one of those people who gets the channel to this level. So thank you so much in advance, and before you leave, make sure you watch one of these videos, and I'll see you guys there. Cheers.